Hey y'all, I'm Alex. Welcome to Soulmates Georgia. It is early April finally. We're past our last frost, I think, and I'm in the garden getting some of my seedlings in the ground. My seedlings have gotten pretty big just from having them inside, and those few hours every day I get them outside on the nice days. But like this one, this lawn keeper's huge, and this one is delicious. It's getting big. And over here I have a Roma that's getting big. What's interesting to me is how the size is different for each variety, within each variety. So I have some lawn keepers that are small. That one's huge. I have Delicious, it's big, and some that are smaller. I don't know where the smaller one is now, but I don't know. I assume it's just how some got more water, got more nutrients, or some were closer to the grow lights. But other than that, they've been getting outside sun for the last couple of weeks a lot more consistently now that the rain has slowed down. And I have some that have some kind of wear and tear. I don't know if that's going to show up very well there, but I don't know if they got sunburned or too much water. I thought I was going to lose some, but they seem to be coming back. So I'm going to thin out some of these, and I think I'm just going to plant 2 of my planters today. So I'm going to get 6 plants in, probably 2 each of tomatoes, and then each planter is going to have 1 bell pepper also. And my plan is I'm using the same soil I used last year and the same pots, and instead of tearing it up and messing up, hopefully all the microorganisms under there and the bacteria has all lived through the winter, and that's going to help the plants as they grow. But also I'm going to top dress it with some of my compost that I had from last year. Through the summer I was composting in my tumbler, and I'm just going to take some of that I've already taken out and just put it on top and let it break down in there and feed it over time. And of course I'll top dress it and mix in some fertilizer too. So we'll get to all that. All I'm doing with what I covered it with last year in the fall, I covered it with a bunch of leaves. I'm just getting all that stuff out of the way. Okay, I cleaned out my planter here. This is one of my self-watering containers where I can water it from here. There's a video we have shows how we can make these. Really simple. Anybody can do it, I think. But I cleared out all this stuff. Now I can just make my holes for my plants. I'm starting with the biggest one in the back. The sun comes over at an angle over here throughout the summer. So the one on the back, which is back here, is the one I want to be the biggest one. And the reason is I don't want it to block out the sun from the little guys, and I'll put the pepper in the front because it doesn't get as big. So I'll go tomato, tomato. Now the instructions I'm starting off with 10-10-10 fertilizer. I don't use 10-10-10 outside of this first planting because I don't want the first number. I don't want that is what's going to help out with the leaf growth. I want it to get established, but I don't want to have a bunch of leaf growth later on because it'll hinder the fruiting. I want to concentrate on fruiting. So I do it first, get it established, and after that I'll use a 5-10-10. But for now, the directions on here say use a tablespoon in the bottom. It doesn't have to be exact. I'll put most of it in there, some around the sides. And I finally get to plant my big one in here. So what I do, you don't have to break these up. It's gotten dried out more than I meant to. It really tears easily when they're wet. But I want to break this up a little bit. But some of the roots will grow into the sides, so you don't want to tear it up. And then I'll just put the whole thing in. Look, that's not deep enough. I'm going to get it in here good because I want that first leaf coming out of the side, I want that to be covered somewhat. Then that establishes a little bit stronger of a base for it, and the stem is really strong, so that's going to be sturdy there. And I'm trying to decide. I haven't decided yet, and I don't have to make a decision today. I don't know if I'm going to put on tomato cages this year. My plan was to build a trellis, but I don't have that yet. And since we're not supposed to be out getting around town, I'm trying to avoid Home Depot. And there might be something I can order on Amazon or even order from Home Depot or Lowe's. But until then, I don't have to make a decision. So this first one was a lawn keeper. I need to make sure I have my tag here. I tried to put the tag on the side that I'm on so that it's easy to see when I need to later on. Let's see, last year I lost a few of them, and it doesn't really matter. Whoops, that one's good and wet. So this is a delicious tomato, and that's real. You can see the roots coming out of here big, so I'm not even going to bother tearing that at all, but I'm going to get it. Almost forgot my fertilizer. So again, just a tablespoon down in there, mostly down in there. I put some on the sides, so as it washes down in, I want something to soak in on it a little bit more later. But see this, the little leaf over here, I want that to be buried in there, so I'm aiming for around there if I can, which needs a little bit more. So just dig in here. It's not compact soil at all, since it was the planter I used last year. I didn't quite get it exactly right, but that's close enough. I'll build it up around there some, and I'm probably going to end up adding more soil on here than I even thought I was going to, because it's sunken down in here a lot. And this is the first year I've reused this soil, so that one's good. And now I get to do a pepper, and this is just happens to be the first one I grabbed. It's a Greek pepper. That's my abbreviation for Greek pepper. And if I put it out here, this is what I did last year. I had tomato, and Greek pepper in the front in this planter. So I almost decided to do something different just to have variety. It's not planted in the same place it was last year. I don't have to plant this one as deep because it is not as tall. And I'm not going to plant a whole lot of peppers right away because I want them to get a little bit bigger inside first. And I really want to get some more soil also. Same drill, spread it around, get some around the edges. Make sure it's all worked in there. A little bit deeper than that. There. Get that planted in nicely. And I've got my first 3 plants in the ground. And my first planter is done, although I am going to mulch it there in the ground at least. Alright, I've got a few weeds in here, but I pull all that stuff as I go. And just scrape out that top layer of mulch. And I'm keeping it here on the side because what I'll do is cover it again at the end. And that's an important step, I think, because after everything's in there, you don't want the soil to get dried out too fast. So if you have a good layer of mulch on it, there's something from my compost last year of a big old seed, but that's breaking down, but I'm gonna feed it to the lawn. So if I can clear this out, level it off, and I don't even worry about like having leaves left in there. They're gonna break down and it's not gonna do any harm really to have a few leaves in there. But I definitely have some mango seeds that are not all the way broken down. All right, that's good enough. And I like it to be a little bit level, partly for just better drainage, and I guess that's the only reason. All right, so I'm gonna dig this again. I'm gonna dig this here, and the sun again is on this side. So if I can do that, let me figure out which plant I want. I already did delicious. I want to get aroma in there this time. Yeah, that's the biggest aroma I have. Not very big, but it is what I have. So check the distance, needs to be deeper than that. And if y'all were watching, I know we have a lot of new subscribers lately, so thanks for everybody who's joined us, and those of you who have been around, thanks for sticking with us. But last year I had a video when I was tearing up my garden at the end that showed the root system from these. It's amazing how the roots filled in here, and it was just packed in. There was so much, such a strong root system. I was really happy seeing that. This is just the same drill as before. Spread it around a little bit, dig some of that out, or pour too much in there. I don't want to have just a pile of fertilizer in the bottom, so I'll put it in and then I mix it around a little bit more still, and put some on top there. That looks good. And you see how I'm not precise on it? It doesn't, those leaves, didn't quite go as much as I wanted to. But it doesn't have to be anything exact. And that's one of the most important things to remember for anybody who's new to gardening, is just to do it, get started, see what you can do. Nothing has to be precise. You can see how Susie does. It should even measure her fertilizer, and she has a great garden. So that was aroma. I'm gonna do a Rutgers on this one. Yeah, so I'll have one of each of my tomatoes. And this is also really soft. I'm not going to bother tearing it much. I'm going to tear a little bit just to free it open some. I forgot to tear that one though. I said it doesn't really matter. That goes back to my point of nothing has to be a precise way. Oh wow, look at that. There's a soil mate in there. I was hoping we were going to have some in here, but there's a good worm right there. If I can try not to throw you around too much, little guy. It's a good worm though. I'm going to keep him in here. I'm not going to put him right where I'm putting the fertilizer. Let him get over here. I'll cover him back up a little. But that's good. I love seeing the worms. So the worms have been eating here. All that, the compost that I put on here has been feeding the worms all winter. So that's ideal. The worms have been feeding off of the compost. They have all the good rich soil in there. And then they are continuing to aerate and drop in their worm castings, which is a polite way to say their worm poop. And now they are going to be able to keep moving everything and keep it aerated, which is going to make a strong garden. This is one of those that the leaf, I don't know if the camera's going to show that very well, but the leaf looks sunburnt maybe, and it might have been that I didn't harden it enough. But I kept it going, and this side's coming up. That's probably going to die off, which is fine with me because I want to have one stem. Really, I don't want to have two stems starting that low. But I'll start with that. So I did the Greek pepper over there. Now I'm going to switch to another kind of pepper. I've never planted jalapenos, so this is the first year for it. I have 3 in here. I didn't thin them out earlier, but I'm going to now. I don't have my snippers out here. Try not to disturb the soil too much. And I'm pinching it, but it's not coming. It's already got a good root system. Look at that. That was, I don't know if that's going to be visible on the camera, but that was pretty good root. Hopefully, I kept the biggest one, and hopefully that was the right move. And that is really dry at the top too, so that's why I want to get these in the ground, but I really do think I'm only going to do a few today. Just in case I mistime the weather, I want to have some that stay inside a little longer. I'm sticking with 10-10-10 on all of these, the peppers and the tomatoes. 1, because it's all in the same pot, but 2, because I want them, I do like the leaves to start off with because it collects so much more sun that way. And then I want the concentration to be on the roots and the fruit. So I've broken that one up pretty good, I think. And that's gonna be a nice one. Jalapeno goes up here. So pack it in, and you don't push it down too much when you're doing it, but I want to make it a little bit firm. So I mean, I could still like stick my finger in. It's really soft, and that should hold it nicely. Stick that in there so I remember what's what. But again, this pretty distinct looking pepper there. And spread out this extra soil that I pushed around here. Make sure that's all nice. And I can now go on and get my compost to add to it. I just have the bin right here. Let's see if my shirt shows up. This is my caveman shirt, which with my beard, I might be approaching this with my hair and beard soon. So we'll see if if my caveman outgrooms me during the this stay-at-home festivities. So I just have a big, oh, it might be too dark in the shade. I have a big collection of just good broken down, mostly broken down soil or compost. I'm just going to get a few handfuls and put, oh wow, another great worm. I dropped some in there earlier and I wasn't sure if they had stayed in, but there was so much good food. Yeah, he's moving. I didn't think he was moving at first. That's a good one. That is awesome. So I put some of this good soil around. That's just more nutrients that goes in there. And like I said, I wanted to, oh, that one's almost broken down. So this was really good. That was one of those mango seeds. But I'm gonna drop it back in and let it finish breaking down. That's some good nutrients going on top. But I'm also gonna put these leaves back on it because I don't want it drying out. So I've used leaves in the past. I've used bark and black, that permeable kind of garden plastic, landscaper's fabric. I've used about anything, and I don't really have a preference. It's just the leaves are already on here. They're working, and it does something. This is one of the old, I think this is one of the old comfrey leaves. So it's still breaking down, but it can sit there fine. Make sure everything has access to light. I'm not covering it too much, and that one's good to go. And I'll move on to the next one. I know I'm excited because I finally have something in the ground outside, and it looks like everything's going to be good weather for weeks to come, and then through the rest of the summer we'll figure out how each heat wave goes and what we have to do to water them and fertilize them and take care of them and baby them and prune them and take care of them as time goes on. But it's always fun just to have that first day of getting in and getting your hands covered in dirt and playing in there. My blueberries here, this is my big blueberry bush, that is really taking off. I didn't even get to prune it this year because I usually do that in February or so, and by February we're already getting days in the 70s. So I didn't prune it, and it doesn't look like it had any harm to it. It's actually gotten huge, and I've got a ton of, looks like little blueberries coming around here, and that hopefully will be ready in a few weeks. My small one over here is getting there. It's greening up and has some, the dwarf variety, but the big one is taking off, and I'm excited about that. So there's so much going on right now in the garden. Hope that everybody is staying safe, staying home, following the regulations, and continue to be happy in your garden and get some comfort out there. So thanks again for watching our video, subscribing, and like this video if you like it. And we will see you on the next video. Thanks again. Bye.